Good afternoon. Welcome to the FTD University webinar titled SEO 101, Driving No-Cost Traffic to Your Website. Today, you will learn 5 tips to help you harness the power of Google to drive more high-quality traffic to your site without paying for advertising. Timm McIntyre, FTD Product Manager for Ecommerce, will be leading this informative webinar. Timm is an e-commerce and social media pioneer with more than 20 years of experience in online marketing. He designed some of the inaugural search engine optimization and social media campaigns for clients such as McDonald's, Visa, Chrysler, and Owens Corning. In addition to advising large corporations, Timm has taught hundreds of small business owners how to get top listings on search engines and increase online orders. Once Timm is finished with this presentation, we will open the webinar up for questions. If you have a question, simply type it in the question box on the upper right side of your screen. Feel free to submit questions during the presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to turn the call over to Timm to begin the webinar. Timm?
Janet, thank you so much, and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today to listen to a little information about how to drive no-cost traffic to your website. And of course, the screen now is not advancing. There we go. Sorry about that. So what I'd like to do is really start from the real beginnings, low-level kind of stuff, and work our way up. So please, I want to do this in a very interactive manner. If I'm going too fast, or if I'm going too slow, please ask questions, and we'll try to make this as useful to you as possible. So the real basic, what is search engine optimization? And it's the art and science of driving traffic to your website via the search engines. And so this is different than paid advertising, pay-per-click advertising, or social media. It's strictly organic search engine optimization. And today, we're going to focus a little bit on local search engine optimization. And local search engine optimization is the techniques used to drive local shoppers to your website or store. Now, why do I want to focus on...
Do we have a question, a poll question for the audience?
Yes.
All right, let's roll that out, everybody. Do you work on SEO at least once a week? Yes or no? We'll give everybody a second to answer that question, and we'll see where we're at. All right. Looks like, Timm, 84% no, 16% yes.
Terrific. Okay, it sounds like a very typical mix of results, and that's fine. It's not a problem. I definitely think that folks should budget a little bit of time each week or each month to do some basic search engine optimization. And so that's what we're going to get in today is, if anybody has talked to me about search engine optimization, you know, I can go on for hours and hours and hours about this, and it can be an intimidating topic. But what we're going to do today is really break it down into 5 really basic things that you can do that will have a great effect on your business. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and again, this pauses. Okay, so why local search engine optimization? Well, for the first time, most people who are searching on Google are actually searching using mobile devices. And we know that 82% of mobile searchers, they're doing local searches. They're looking for a business in a geographic area. So it might be where they're standing with their mobile phone, or it might be another location in another city, but they're looking for a geographically based business. We know that local searches lead 50% of those people to visit stores within 24 hours. And we know that 80% of people find that incorrect or inconsistent business information make them lose trust in a business. So if they look for your business and they find some information about you on the internet, and it turns out that your street address is wrong or your shop hours are wrong, they lose confidence in your business. Now, the reason I want to focus on local search engine optimization is because local search engine optimization techniques, 90% of what we're going to talk about today, are going to help boost your overall rankings, your non-local rankings, people at desktop, people now looking for a geographic location. So while we're focused on local, this is really going to help you in all aspects of your business. And I've got some sources here at the end of the presentation. I've got a list of some really good resources if you want to get into this and read in more depth. So let's talk about local search engine optimization. And when people talk about that, they talk about the local pack. This is probably something everyone has seen, that when you go on Google, and Bing has their version of it as well, but when you go on there and you do a search for a local search, and Google anticipates that either because you're on a mobile device and they're kind of going to make that assumption that you're looking locally, or you might search for a term like I did here, like florist near me, which Google figures out that that is a local search. So when they do that, they will often display this local pack. And you see here it's a map, and it's got a list of the local businesses it thinks are most relevant to the search I've performed. And beneath that, you'll see below the red box, you'll see the first standard organic result. But this is the local pack. And again, anything that you do that affects this is going to affect your organic rankings as well, so it's all good. You'll see the shop name, address, reviews, all this stuff we're going to get into. So the question is, what affects your placement here? And there are a number of factors. Now, one of the big organizations out there, a website called Moz.com, they go out and they do a survey of all the top search engine optimization experts every year, and they ask them, what do you think? What has your research shown you are the factors that affect your rankings? So this is sort of the golden secret behind search engine optimization, is this pie chart. And this pie chart basically tells us what different things, how much of an effect these different factors have in how you show up on the search engines. And we're going to talk about these little slices of pie. So you'll see the biggest one in the upper right-hand corner is Google My Business. And we're going to talk a lot about Google My Business. But I show you this so that you see how important Google My Business is to your local search result. Now, in the lower left-hand corner, you see links. We're going to talk about links from your site, links to your site, how to get them, what to avoid. You'll also see things like reviews, which are people talking about your business and your products. And in the lower right-hand corner, you see a green slice called On Page. On Page is what's on your website. What do people see on your website? You'll see some other things in here in the upper left, like personalization and behavior. And that sort of has to do, that's sort of out of our control. That's what people are searching for, what kind of device they're using, what experience they've been having. You'll see a very tiny slice there in orange of social media. And that's important because social media is an important thing to do to grow your brand reputation, to get people to search for you. But it doesn't have a terribly big effect on how you rank on the search engines. So social is more about getting people to search for you, because if people search for you, you're almost always going to show up well. If I search for Timm's Flower Shop, my website almost always comes up. If I search for florist in Downers Grove, Illinois, I've got to compete with everyone else. So that's the role that social plays. Now, let's talk a little bit about Google My Business.
Tim, do we want to roll out that next poll question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's go ahead and roll out that next poll question, please.
Awesome. Everybody, have you claimed your Google My Business listing yet? Yes or no? Take a quick second to let us know. All right. And it looks like we flipped 80% yes, have claimed the Google My Business, 20% no.
Terrific. We're going to help the 20% and we're going to help the 80%. That's great. And again, I guess I have to keep clicking that and then this. Okay, so what is Google My Business? Google My Business is Google understanding that you have a business, you have a physical location, and there's information associated with a physical location. Now, you may have searched for a business and seen this thing on the right, which is called the info graph, the information graph. And this is really the easiest way to see all the information that Google has in your Google My Business account. And we may come back to this slide, but if you look, you'll see shop hours, you'll see addresses, reviews, ratings, questions, photos, all kinds of different pieces of information. And this is really important. This is, as you see from that pie chart, it's pretty much the single most important factor for local search engine optimization on Google, which makes it an important factor for overall search engine optimization. And like I said, Bing and those other folks, they have their version of this too. So first thing is claim your listing. Well, I'm glad to hear that 80% of you have claimed your listing. For the 20% that haven't, it's actually a pretty simple process. We have a link at the end of the presentation. You're going to be able to go there and find your business and claim it. Now, here's the challenge. Google wants to make sure that nobody's going to steal your identity. They want to make sure that your competitor doesn't claim to be you and then change all the information on your account, right? Well, the way they do that is Google already knows what your street address is. They're not going to ask you what your street address is. What they're going to do is they're going to send this postcard to you, to that address, with a code number that you're going to use to verify that it's really you. This is a big challenge because people, they fill out the form and then a week later this postcard shows up and they just kind of throw it in the garbage and they forget about it. So for the 20% that haven't done it, go ahead and do it today. I think it's the single most important thing you can do, but just keep your eyes open for that postcard. Now, for the other folks who have already done Google My Business, that's the hard part. But the important part is, one, to make sure that you filled out all the information you can possibly fill out on this thing. The second thing is to make sure that you keep it fresh. Now, you don't have to keep a blog and come in here every week and fill out a whole bunch of new stuff, but you should be doing it seasonally. You should be talking about prom, and you should be talking about Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and wedding season. You should be changing the photos up. If you do a spectacular wedding, go in there and put a picture up. You'll also notice that now they have the ability for folks to leave questions. So you should kind of keep an eye on this. And if somebody asks a question, as a shop owner, you should jump in and answer it. And what this does is two things. One, Google wants to see that there's a lot of information about your business. The other thing they want to see is that you're actively participating in the internet. You're a good internet citizen. And it doesn't mean, like I said, you're publishing something like the Chicago Tribune every day, but you should be doing things occasionally. You should be paying attention to it. There shouldn't be any dust on your window, as my dad would say. Update that information regularly. Now, the second tip. This is the second most important thing to do. Once I had claimed my Google business, if I had an hour just to promote my online business, I would spend 45 minutes doing inbound links. That's how important I think this is. Now, what do inbound links do? It builds credibility. So the example I was using is, if I come up to you in a cocktail party and I tell you I'm an internet expert, that means something to you, especially if I use a lot of the right terms. But if a bunch of people in this cocktail party come up to you and they say, hey, that guy Timm McIntyre, he's really an internet expert, that probably means more to you than if I said it. And that's kind of how Google works. Google is trying to figure out, are you a business, what business you're in, and where's your business located? So having good quality inbound links is very important. Now, the first step is you link to local businesses you support, and I'll talk about who those should be. But if you have a FOL website, you call us up and you say, hey guys, I want you to make a list of, here are my favorite local businesses. We'll make a page for you. We call it My Favorite Local Businesses, and we just put links to anybody that you tell us to put links to. There's no cost for that. Anybody can do it. It's very simple to do. We're happy to do it for you. Go to those local businesses and simply ask them to return the favor. Again, it's free. You're not asking them to buy an ad. You're not asking them to spend any money, but it benefits both of you. It's a web of connections, and that's literally why they call it the World Wide Web. So I go to a few local businesses and I say, hey, I made a link to you on my website. If you make a link back to me on my website, it'll help both of us. Well, who to ask? There are two groups of people you should ask. There are florist-related people, and those might be wedding planners, photographers, caterers, funeral homes, um, hospital administrators, anybody like that that you do business with. But there's also indirectly related folks, and these are people who aren't going to really link to you because you're in the flower business, but they're going to link to you because you're local. Because remember, we not only want to tell them that I'm a flower shop, but we want them to tell them that I'm a business in Downers Grove, Illinois. So I'm from Chicago, so it's my pizza guy. It's the Chamber of Commerce. It might be the high school you sponsor. Anybody who's in the area. So it might be a high school that you give flowers to for prom, and they just put a link on it, and they say, hey, these are the guys who gave us the flowers. And it might be a wedding photographer. You give him flowers for his photo shoots. He gives you some photos to show off. Same thing. You make that link back and forth. Very casual. It's low pressure, but it's extremely effective. Like I said, if I had an hour to improve my online business, I would spend 45 minutes doing this. One word of caution, avoid link farms. I just saw an ad today. Hey, we have 10,000 sites that'll link to you, 15 cents a link. That's spammy behavior. Google knows all about it. Bing knows all about it. This is the one thing that you would be tempted to do that would actually get you penalized on Google. It's kind of hard to get penalized on Google. Going to a link farm is the one thing that you can. So if you don't know these people and they're offering you thousands of links, if it sounds too good to be true, avoid it like the plague.
All right, Tim, should we roll out that last poll question?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, everybody. Have you asked any local businesses to link to your site? Tim just told us how important that is. Yes or no?
Now, I'll give you a case study. We had a florist in a small town who had no links to their business. We worked with them to get a half a dozen links, just a half a dozen links from the types of people we just talked about. We tripled their business, or we tripled their traffic from Google, and we doubled their business in 3 months for a grand total cost of $0. That's a pretty good deal.
That is, and there we go. 83% said no, 17% yes. So
okay, so we have our homework. We have our homework. That's. I would hang up this call and just do that. I'm going to remember to click this. All right, here we go. Now, reviews. Tip number 3, reviews. Builds credibility with Google. Again, unendorsed, uncompensated people are telling Google, 1, that you're a real business, 2, that they've done business with you, and 3, that you're not a fly-by-night organization. So Google is a little less concerned with the quality of your rankings, although that's always a good thing to have, but just the fact that you're collecting and sharing them. So you're actually really in business. Google is just trying to figure out if you're a real business. It improves visibility. Obviously, it helps drive traffic to your site, but it also grows your conversion rate. We know that the mere fact that you tell people that you have ratings on your website helps your conversion rate. Even if you haven't captured any ratings yet, the mere fact that you have that widget up there helps your conversion rate. Now, there's 2 kinds. There's on-site. So these are ratings that appear on your website. So for FOL sites, we have a service called the Online Rating Service. One of the things it does is displays those ratings on your website. So that helps with SEO and it helps with conversion rate. And there are off-site ones as well. Google reviews, right? So you claimed your listing, and Yelp. Now, I agree, no one likes Yelp. Okay, but they're out there. And so these are examples of websites that are not your website that gather ratings and reviews about your business. So it helps to keep an eye on those things. It helps to make sure that you're listed on those things, and you should keep an eye on those ratings. Now, obviously, a good rating is a good thing, and a bad rating is a bad thing. But the best rating, believe it or not, is a poor rating that you help change into a good rating. So when somebody posts something like, I got the flowers and they weren't so fresh, and you post something like, I'm the owner of that business, give me a call, I'm going to make it right. Then 2 days later, that person comes back and goes, wow, I can't believe it. I spoke to the owner of the business and he made it right. That actually means more than a regular old good rating, because everybody knows that businesses sometimes get it wrong. But what they really want is a business that'll make it right. So don't worry too much about a negative review. Take care of it. Fourth tip, content, content, content. So what makes you unique? I'll tell you a story. Talking to a member, trying to go through this concept with them, they're like, nothing makes me unique. I'm just a regular old florist in a small town. I said, well, how'd you get into business? He tells me this 20-minute story about his family being in the flower business and his brother and all this going on and the passion that he has and all the education. I'm like, stop right there. That's what makes you unique. That's your story. You don't have to write a book. You don't have to make a blog and publish something every day. But talk just a little bit about why you got into business. What's your passion? What's your philosophy? What's different about your community? Talk about your community, hyper local. Talk about the business across the street. Talk about the high school that you do stuff with. Talk about the Chamber of Commerce. Talk about the 5K that is going to be run next weekend in your town. Anything that makes you really unique in that town. Custom products. I love custom products. They convert well, but again, they're unique. You know, one of the challenges is you're using a standard product catalog. You want to stand out somehow. So custom products are great to do that. Keep it fresh. Like I said, you don't have to be writing everything every day, but don't write a couple of interesting things and then leave it for 5 years. I mean, you know, a few times a year, get in there, make a comment about something that you're excited that the football season has started, anything. Just something. Coordinate with any ads you're running. So if you are buying pay-per-click ads about Valentine's Day, write about Valentine's Day. If you're running ads that talk about that you're moving, have a page that talks about that you're moving your business or whatever it happens to be. Just sort of have everything in sync. Now, the fifth tip, the last tip, I'm going to leave up for a second, and this is local directories. And this sort of ties everything that we've been talking about in. And you see this slide here, and we've got all these different places, Google Places, Facebook, Foursquare, Localese, Manta, all of these places. There are probably 50 or 60 plus of these local directories, like the yellow pages, like Angie's List, that are lists highly regarded, highly respected by Google, lists of businesses in certain areas. Google understands that Angie's List is a list of businesses, right? And Google really likes that content. So it's really important to pay attention to those directories. They work like sort of super inbound links. A link from a professional local directory means more than a link from just some nobody, right? Somebody like me, right? So they're really good sources of quality links. Google My Business claimed your listing, right? Okay, great. Consistent information is important. Google is worried about your business as an entity. So they want to make sure that your name, your address, your phone number, your hours, products, all of that stuff is consistent. And literally what I mean is 312-1234, I'm sorry, 312-123-4567. That's different than 123 no dash 4567, which is different than 312-123-4567 with no dashes. So however you put your address, 123 S period Main Street, 123 South Main Street, make that all consistent. Google is smart, but it's not that smart. Your shop hours, all of those kinds of things. Make sure it's all consistent. Now, I'm going to give you the 30-second commercial. Like I said, there's probably 50 or 60 of these sites. You can do it yourself. It's a tremendous pain to do it. We have a service. We have FTD's business program, which we offer where we automatically manage all of those listings for you, and we can help you out with Google My Business and things like that. I highly recommend it. End of commercial. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus tip today, and this is Google Search Console. Google Search Console is a technology tool that as you get more and more into search engine optimization, which I hope you will be doing as you do some more of these basic things, this is going to help you go a little further, and it's going to kind of help you keep score. And it's going to allow you to monitor your results, how much traffic you're getting, how visible you are in the search engines. It's a free service. It's going to help you identify problems. Although I will say on the FOL sites, we keep a pretty close handle on this kind of thing, but it's good peace of mind. It's going to help you track those most important inbound links. It's also going to allow you to flag products and flag location information. And what I mean by that, it's a very simple point and click way to go in and tell Google, this is a product, this is the price, this is the name. And Google is so smart that once you do that a few times, it will go through your site and figure it all out. Because remember, when somebody goes and searches for roses, Google doesn't know if they're searching for the history of roses, the types of roses, how to grow roses, where to buy roses. But if somebody searches for where to buy roses, if you have products, you're in the business of selling roses, and you're probably going to show up first rather than Wikipedia, which has a lot of history of roses. So if that makes any sense, you want to be sure that Google knows that you're in the business of selling things so that when people go to buy things, you show up. And the same thing with location information. It's just a very easy way to tell Google, hey, this is my street address. This is where I'm located. Real quick, I'll show you one screen. There's a lot of screens in here. It's pretty easy to go through and kind of figure out. But you look at this page and you see 3 red boxes have highlighted. Crawling errors. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. You see the 3 green check boxes there? Sort of like your check engine light in your engine. As long as those are green, you're fine. Okay? If they're not green, give us a call. I've never seen one not be green. URL errors. I only bring this up for one reason. You're always going to have a handful of those. Just Google burped when it crawled your website, or you took a product out and the URL is no longer active or something. So you might see a couple of numbers on here. Don't worry about it. Now, if it's 250, 500 errors, give us a call. But we've probably already detected it. On the right, however, is where you see the real, I think, useful thing. Is in this case, it's how many clicks is Google sending this shop. And you see it goes up and down. It goes down on the weekends, and it goes up on Monday. So you want to look at this, and over time, obviously, as you do this work, you should see the amount of clicks that you get go up. So this is just a tool that as you get more and more into it, that you might want to use to kind of track your performance. And then finally, as I promised, and this presentation is available for download, a few resources. 1, Google My Business for the folks that haven't claimed it yet. 2, that Search Engine Council I just talked to you about. But really the last 3, Google Trends, which is Google talking about what's going on in search, and searchenginewatch.com and searchengineland.com. I think those are 3 excellent resources that I would keep an eye on. You know, they have great tutorials on there. They have great new information on what's going on. Those are sort of 3 things, especially the last 2, that I would, whoever's in charge of marketing my website, I'd make sure I was looking at that probably once a month and just learning a few things, keeping an eye on what's going on. So that's a lot of information in a half hour. I would love to get any questions you might have. And if you have any questions later on, drop me an email. And Jan and everybody in this company will tell you that I'm happier. I'm never happier than talking about search engine optimization. So you can always drop me an email. But if you have any questions now, please go ahead and type them in the system, and I'll do my best to answer them. So have we received any questions during all this?
Hey, Tim, thanks for sharing. That was a lot of great information. So as Tim said, we're open for questions now, so type it in that question box on the upper right side of your screen. We do have a question from Emily. You said that you didn't like Yelp. We don't like Yelp.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Yelp not good, or is that just a personal?
You know, their business model has always been a little sketchy to me. They provide an excellent service in that people can go and leave reviews about businesses they've done business with. I'm just always a little turned off when the sales guys call up and kind of sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, promise you that they'll do something about negative reviews if you pay them. So it's a good service, and I would highly recommend that you monitor your ratings on there and respond to positive and negative ones. That really is a good strategy to pursue.
Great, thanks. We have a question from Morgan. How does pay-per-click advertising fit in with all of this?
Well, they sort of fits hand in glove. So search engine optimization is excellent for no cost, right? Low cost, long-term results that'll drive the most traffic. The problem with search engine optimization, it takes a while to happen, and you don't have precise control over it. Now, pay-per-click, on the other hand, you have precise control over it. You can control to the nth degree what happens, and it's immediate. You could turn it on this afternoon and start seeing ads immediately. However, you're paying money for those clicks, so you use them both together. Pay-per-click is a great way to figure out what keywords and what business you should go after. Search engine optimization is going to be the most cost-efficient long-term solution.
All right, we've got a question from Stephanie. For those of us that add custom products to our FOL site, it asks for an SEO alt tag. What should they be putting there? And like, is that the name of their shop, the custom product name?
I would put the name of the product, and I would name my products as locally as possible. So I would not necessarily name a product A Dozen Roses. I would name it Timm's Flower Shop Special Rose for you. And then just put that as a title and put that as the alt tag.
Okay, we've got a question from Stacy. What are some suggestions to increase customer reviews?
Number one is to ask for them. It's as simple as that. Now, on our online rating service, it automatically asks every online customer to leave a review. But put the little sign up on your counter. Have your delivery person mention it. Leave us a review on Yelp. Leave us a review on Google. That old saying: if you like what you've seen today, tell a friend. If you don't, tell the boss. So just simply ask for people to do that. And small plug, should use our online rating service if you have a FOL site.
All right, we got a question from Frank. Where can he find my Google Search Console?
It's in the it's the second bullet point right here. So you can go right there. It used to be called Webmaster Tools. So if you can get the deck and go right to it.
All right, we've got a question from Stan. Is there anything that can be done to place higher than order gatherers when someone searches for florist near me?
Yes, everything that we talked about today is part of that struggle. So when someone searches for florists near me and Google figures out that they're in Downers Grove, let's say, you want to do all the things that we talked about today. You want to have content about Downers Grove. You want to have links from Downers Grove businesses. You want to have products that refer to the local high school. All of the things that we talked about today are key to making you stand out in your geographic region. That's a great question. That's how you work against order gatherers.
Great, thanks, Tim. We've got another question from Costa. Where do they put the link of the local wedding planner or those other links of the local businesses on their website? And then second, how do I get there to put or get her to put their website on hers if she doesn't know how to?
Hello, Costa. So what we would typically do is put it on the in the About Us section. We'll just make a bullet point called our favorite local businesses. The page does not have to be highly visible. It just has to exist. So if you call us up and you say, hey, I've got 6 guys that I want to put a link to, we'll just make a page called our favorite local businesses. And then I actually have a little email. I should maybe post it up. I have sort of a little sample email that says, hey, I just put a link to you on my website. I'd really appreciate it if you put a link back. Here's the link. Your webmaster will know how to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of great questions, everybody, but just as a reminder, any other questions, type it in that question box and send it over. We have a question from Alana. She said that you said reviews improve conversion. Are there any other recommendations to improve conversion?
I would say that if you have an FOL site and you're participating in the online rating service, you are probably also using our cart abandonment tool. It's that pop-up that you see when you try to leave this website. It says, hey, we've got birthday presents or birthday flowers, or we do custom work. Think about any kind of promotions or coupons. I will tell you that if you we can put a coupon up for $5 that only appears in the checkout process. So if someone's in the checkout process and they go to leave the cart, they get a little pop-up, hey, don't leave yet, we can give you a $5 off coupon. The interesting thing about that is even though that really helps your conversion rate, only about 30% of the people who see that will actually use the coupon. So it helped, just the mere fact that you offer the coupon helps your conversion rate. So I would look at that. I would also not be too concerned about price. Like we know that it's not terribly price sensitive. So a lot of times, first things people will say is, well, let's lower the price. And I'm like, well, let's not lower the price. Maybe give a coupon, but I wouldn't lower price.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. I've got a question from Leslie. She said, I'm really new to all of this. What should I do first? Because it was a lot of great information quickly.
I would probably do an order. I would first claim Google My Business, and then second, I would go out and start getting inbound links. Those are the first two things I would do.
All right, great. Well, it looks like we're out of questions for today. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar. If you missed a portion of that, you want to watch it again, the replay will be available on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel later this week. And as Tim mentioned, this presentation is available for download at on ftdi.com, so you can certainly go there. If you've got any additional questions that come up, Tim's email address is there, and he does love to talk about SEO.
Yep.
We will be sending you, as always, a very brief survey to gather your feedback on today's webinar. Ask you to please just take a minute to complete the survey, help us improve the webinars and other education programs for you. Super important. And our next FTD webinar scheduled for Tuesday, November 13th. Derek Myers, the president of Crockett Myers and Associates, will share how to determine the number of man-hours of labor that you need each week, day, and hour. He's also going to discuss how to schedule your staff to meet your business needs while achieving your cost targets and turning a good profit. We all want to make money. Registration is already available at ftdi.com, so please be sure to register as soon as possible. Reserve your spot during that webinar. Tim, thank you again for sharing a lot of great tips to help us drive more high-quality traffic to our shops without paying for the advertising.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, this concludes FTD's webinar, SEO 101, Driving No-Cost Traffic to Your Websites. Thank you, everyone.